You're now watching Because Geek. 25 Clues and Foreshadowing for the Spoils of War. The very first piece of foreshadowing is one that gets resolved in the same episode.
You don't want Highgarden.
I beg to differ.
We're at war. Daenerys Targaryen could come and take it back the day after you move in.
Yep, that's exactly what would happen.
The more you own, the more it weighs you down.
I like to think that this line refers to Jon succeeding above everyone else in the end, thanks to how humble he is. Cersei is definitely the most weighed down of all.
See? We pay our debts.
Right. Just not to me.
We're constantly being shown how little Bronn enjoys working for Jaime, so it won't be surprising if this is foreshadowing Bronn switching sides. We get yet another comparison line between Tywin and Cersei, when Tycho says that Cersei is redefining Tywin's terms entirely. Cersei does seem to be acting like Tywin, but redefining everything that he did at the same time. And I'm still thinking about a Red Wedding 2.0 situation here by Cersei, like I've mentioned in past videos. One thing I missed in the last episode was Cersei calling Qyburn the cleverest man she knows, which could be bad for Cersei when you remember what Olenna said to Dany about outliving all of the clever men in her life because she didn't listen to them. Qyburn is trying to get the Golden Company to work for Cersei, so if Olenna's logic is applied here, I'd say that it's being foreshadowed that Qyburn's plans won't help, and the Golden Company won't guarantee Cersei's victory. There's more foreshadowing for this later on.
I would have stopped that dagger with my own heart, if I could have.
I would have stopped that dagger with my own heart. This may be foreshadowing that Littlefinger will get stabbed in the heart with this dagger, or that someone else will. There's also more foreshadowing for this later.
I imagine you've seen things most men wouldn't believe.
Bran looks at the dagger right as Littlefinger says this, as if he's thinking, just like Littlefinger is saying, that most men won't believe the things that he has seen about the dagger. The question is, are those things related to the dagger's past or the dagger's future? We shall see.
I didn't run. You need better guards.
Arya is talking about the Winterfell guards, but if we think of it as foreshadowing, this could also be referring to people guarding Sansa herself. Maybe Sansa didn't have any good enough guards around her until now that Arya is here. And by that, I mean that Arya will be Sansa's quote-unquote better guard. Sansa talks about Arya making Jon's heart stop when he sees her, but this could be foreshadowing Arya making someone else's heart stop. There's also talk about Arya being disappointed that she didn't get to kill Joffrey herself, the person who killed Ned, but combined with the line about her stopping hearts, maybe she will be able to kill someone else who, just like Joffrey, hurt Ned, and that person is Littlefinger, of course. In fact, it is possible that Littlefinger was the one who suggested to Joffrey that he beheaded Ned, so Arya would be killing the actual culprit of his death.
He's not a generous man. He wouldn't give you anything unless he thought he was getting something back.
What would Littlefinger want? We know that he has always wanted to give that dagger away to keep the guilt away from him, but Littlefinger may also be trying to get on Bran's good side in order to take advantage of his powers. A bit of insight from Bran wouldn't hurt Littlefinger's schemes and plots.
Schemes and plots are the same thing.
There is talk about the dagger in this scene, and in the next scene we're shown Dany. This is one of the many connections between Dany and the Catspot dagger that we've been getting this season. I also think Podrick may be involved somehow. He was in the middle of that scene transition, and I believe his training with Brienne will come into play in his story. There's almost no need to point it out, but this is definitely foreshadowing a sex scene between Dany and Jon, when Missandei talks to Dany about doing many things with Grey Worm, and Jon interrupts their conversation, reinforced by the giddy looks on both of the girls' faces. This whole scene represents the events from the last long night, and it has been implied several times throughout this season that history is repeating itself. Westeros just needs to team up together for this, so they still have got to get Cersei on board. There were symbols from the Children of the Forest drawn all over the cave, but they were also suspiciously right underneath the drawing of the men. Does it mean that the men will need to use these symbols in order to defeat the Night King? Maybe he can only be killed the same way that he was created, with a ritual. This can be foreshadowing the journey of the last hero as well, where a group of men go north in order to look for the Children of the Forest during the last long night. We know that a group of men will go north this season, and it has been linked to that legend already. The children are all gone though, aren't they? If they are, at least all of their memories and information are currently in Bran's head, so Bran can be the children's proxy here. The callback in this scene to when Mance didn't want to bend the knee out of pride for Stannis may be something that Jon will remember as well. Even though the wildling way has rubbed off on him a lot, he should remember that Mance's death served for nothing good and left the wildlings helpless. Same goes for Daenerys though. Isn't Westeros' survival more important than her pride? I think both of their prides will have changed by the end of it all. Dany mentions Tyrion's family, and then we get a quick shot of Jon, then back to Dany, and then we hear dragons in the distance. The Targaryen family foreshadowing is strong here. Dany talks about not having enough food, Sansa mentions grain contributions not being enough. The constant talk of food is likely pointing to how important food may become later on. Dany burns all the food at the end of this episode, so Cersei can potentially be persuaded with that. If she has no food and the enemy does, she should give in before letting her people die. But will she? That might be the last straw for Jaime when Cersei stops caring about her people when they don't have food. Brienne beating the Hound keeps being brought up. Are they building up our confidence in her to have it destroyed later? Or will she beat someone strong again? There's lots of emphasis on the dagger in this scene. And then a clear stare between Arya and Littlefinger. The foreshadowing for Arya to kill him is being rubbed in our faces, I would say. But will it really be that simple though? We know that the dagger is more special than it seems. I just can't wait to see what happens there. Again, more talk about Dany's heart right after seeing a scene with the dagger. Will Dany really get stabbed in the heart with it to defeat the Night King? Jon does mention not having enough men to defeat the Night King right after that. All I can tell you is that they are definitely connecting Catspaw with Dany. There's also a quick mention of Jon's parents not being married. Will we see a Lyanna and Rhaegar wedding vision? The conversation between Jon, Davos and Missandei was a bit suspicious here. Just the way that Jon questioned her loyalty. I have said it before and I'll say it again. If Missandei for whatever reason ends up betraying Dany, it won't be because she meant to do that all along. I can only see her betraying Dany for love. Love of Grey Worm, possibly. The enemy could definitely take advantage of her that way. Bronn loses his bag of coins and leaves them behind to save his life. Bronn is a sellsword, so this could be pointing to how the sellswords from the Golden Company will react when Cersei hires them to fight Daenerys. They might care about their lives more than the gold. But of course, this is also a turning point in Bronn's character arc. He may finally stop caring about money so much and start making decisions with his heart instead, which may be related to his future interactions with Tyrion. This scene shows us that Tyrion still cares about his Lannister house, which makes sense because it's hard to fully let go of your roots like that. And when you add the previous scene where Dany accuses Tyrion of not wanting to hurt his family, it's clear that this will play a role in the story. And I would say that it will be related to Jaime because Tyrion does really hate Cersei. There's been so many callbacks to events in earlier seasons that I think it's safe to say that we will see more of that. And the next one I see coming is Jaime being captured by the enemy just like it happened during the War of the Five Kings with Robb. But I don't think his capture will be the only callback. I think his release will be another one as well. And this is where I see Tyrion's Lannister roots playing a role. He may free Jaime just like Jaime freed him. We can even go further in with callbacks here and say that they will repeat the same events that happened after Tyrion was freed, seeing his lover cheating on him and then killing a Lannister, which was two separate events for Tyrion, but they could be combined into one for Jaime. If Jaime comes back to find Cersei cheating on him with Euron, and kills Cersei because of it. Although I still think that the thing I said earlier about food is a more probable reason for Jaime to kill Cersei, but we'll see. So that's it for now guys, leave a like if you like this video, subscribe for more, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next one! I'm also coming back home next week from this UK trip, so my upload frequency should go back to normal, and I should be able to upload videos sooner after the episode. Even though there will be only 2 episodes left, but hey, at least we get something. We gotta work with what we have. Gotta be optimistic about things, guys. Yeah!